Hello everyone and welcome to Call Sign Charlie Models. Time for another inbox review, and today we have another Zoukei Mura kit, the Zoukei Mura 132nd HS 129B-3 German fighter attack aircraft. So going on to the box art on the top, looks very nice. Some nice rivet detail in the art, and then also a very large cannon on the nose of this aircraft. So again, you could cut this off and then hang it on a wall as a piece of wall art. It is very nice. So going around on the side, we just have a warning right here, and then we have a couple pictures of the built model. And then we flip over to the other side and we have more pictures of the built model. So it looks like we have a nice detailed cockpit, some very nice engine detail on there, and also some cannon detail right there. So very nice detail on these pictures right here. So I'm going to get the box opened up and get everything set up, and then we can start going through the instructions and the decals and all the plastic. So give me 1 second. Alright, so we're starting off with the instructions, and again, very nice instruction booklet from Zoukei Mura. It looks like it is an actual German manual from World War II, just the way the paper is colored and everything. So that is a very nice detail on that, and it does seem like it is a fairly thick instruction booklet going on. So we're going to open it up, and then we have a nice little history about the Henschel Hs 129B-3 right in here, and then also going on our engine and the armament that was in this aircraft as well. So moving along, we have a little bit of a more description about the model in various languages about the propellers, the landing gear, the exterior shape, internal structure, and cockpit, and a few other parts going on through here. Alright, so starting off, and then we have our color callouts using Vallejo colors on here, and then again our legend of symbols that we have and the tools necessary for building. Alright, so now starting off with the kit, looks like we're starting off with the engine. We have the 2 cylinder faces to add in and getting all those painted, and again we have some nice color photos of how it's supposed to look when it is all done. Moving on, we're adding in our push rods, getting all those on, and then our propeller shaft, and then a few other detail parts in there. And again, like usual, they have the painted color photos down there, so that is going to look very nice when it's all done. After that, we're adding our intake manifolds, our engine mounting ring, and then a few other parts to it, and then we have again more color photos. So I'm really liking how they have these detail shots here, so you don't have to question anything. After that, we're adding in our exhaust pipes, auxiliary equipment added in, and then the engine and auxiliary equipment come together, and then our engine cowl mounting brackets also are going onto the engine as well. And then we're mounting on our engine, getting our engine mounts ready, getting all that on, and then we have a stand to put the engine on right there. So that's a nice touch to that. And then we have again a full page layout with the color photos of the engine and how it's supposed to look when it is done. So that is very nice touch to the instructions. After that, we're starting off with the cockpit, getting our cockpit floor done, and then some more floor and seat detail, and then we're adding in our rudder pedals, our cockpit to the right side of it, and then also the left side of the cockpit. And again, more even on the close end of the handles and levers, they do have the color callouts on that. Does look like we're going to need to mix a couple paints right in there, but again, very nice. Then we have an option for our instrument panel right there. Can't tell if these are decals or masks, but again, looking very nice on that. Then after that, we're attaching our instrument panel to our cockpit floor, and then our control stick, and then the cockpit sidewalls are going on. After that's done, we're closing up the cockpit, getting all that done, and then we have some side brackets to go in along here, and then we're adding in our armor plate for the top side, and then we have the finished product right in here. Moving on to the fuselage, we do have a few parts to add in there with our bulkheads, our front wing bulkhead, and then bulkheads 7 and 5 right in there. And then we're working on our center fuselage section, preparation for everything, and then after that we are doing a test fit of everything right now in this step. And then after that's all done, we're getting our cockpit glued into our fuselage half. It does have an attention point right here, attach, position, zoom, right side view. So again, some very nice instructions. It looks like these instructions were done by people that actually build models instead of somebody just cutting images off of CAD. So this is very nice. It's going to be very helpful when building it. Alright, so moving on, we have our fuel tanks and a couple other boxes going on here. And then after that, we're working on our front bulkhead and then the inner fuselage area. We have some more details to go on that, and then we have our radios going on after that. Then continue on, we're working on our bulkheads, getting all of our bulkheads and framing added to the fuselage. It's really going to help give this some strength. And if you can see through this, I don't know if this is a window or a hatch right here. You might be able to leave, if it's a hatch, you might be able to have it open. You might put some stowage or something like that in there. But all that detail is actually very, very nice. Then we're working on our tail system right here, tail wheel added with some supports right there, and then you're getting all that glued in. And then after that's all done, we are getting our fuselage halves together. Shows you where to put the glue and everything, so that's nice. And then we have an option with the ladder right here, so we'll have to decide if we're going to have it stored or open at this point, it looks like. Alright, so after that, we're adding in an access hatch right here. Like I said earlier, you can have those open and show off the interior detail that you just got done working with, or you can close it up and not have to worry about it. After that, we're working on our vertical stabilizer and the tail, and then we have our rudder to go in right there as well. Then after that, we have our canopy rails going on, and then our main wing spar going on as well. And we'll see those actually here in a second. And then after that, we're adding more parts. We have the front, top, and side views of how the wings look on the fuselage at the angle that they're supposed to be. So very nice on that. And then we're adding in a couple of other parts right in here. They say they are the wall and ribs of the wings. Okay, then after that, we're adding in fuel tanks to the wings, getting those all in. As you can see here in this picture, this is how everything is supposed to look at this point. And then we're going to do a test fit with the panels that are going to go over and cover all this work that we just did. Alright, so after that's done, we're getting in our lower wing panel and then a couple other pieces right there. It says see page 26 for ladder options, which we already went over. And then it has a different image for if the ladder is open or stored right here. After that's all done, we're working on our main landing gear right and left for this whole page, and then we have a firewall for our engines going on. Then we have the top panels for our wings going on as well. After that's all done, we have our cockpit sidewalls going in on left and right, and then the bottom nose skin going on right there. Then after that, we are adding in our windshield going on, and then our nozzle top right there, and then we're adding in our engines to the wings right there. These are going to look very nice when it's all done. Then after that, we're adding again the engine nozzles to the sides of the landing gear well, and then left and right side right there, and the same thing on the main landing gear doors and the radiator on left and right going on right there. Then we're adding in our engine exhaust, getting all that done, our main landing gear done, and then we have our engine cowls right there. I think with the detail that's in this engine, I might have one engine with the cowl on and then one engine with the cowl off. So that is my plan for that. Then we have a couple other pieces like our intake filter right there. We have some other angles of a zoom picture of how it's supposed to look right there. Then we're adding on our horizontal stabilizers and elevators, and then adding in our landing gear. It shows you the angle that it's supposed to be, approximately 69 degrees, and then approximately 101.5 degrees as well. And it shows you all the different profiles on how the landing gear is supposed to look, so you can make sure that you get it right. After that's all done, we're adding in our flaps, left and right side, and then adding in our ailerons, left and right side, and then our fuel tank covers, and then looks like, yep, got a couple more hatches to add in right in here. Then our ammunition loader going on, very nice detail on that. Definitely going to want to have that open so you can show these cannon rounds that you have going right there. That's going to really be nice. Alright, then after that we have the auto loader, getting everything loaded in, and as you can see, just moving all the way through here. Then after this we have the giant 75mm anti-tank cannon right here going on, looking very nice. It is two parts. I might look and see if they have a metal barrel for this. That would definitely be a bonus to this kit, but we'll have to see. But moving on, it does look like it has a lot of framework going on to this gun, and then we're mounting the auto loader into the fuselage right there, right all the way through, and it shows you the options of having it open in the down position, or semi down, or all the way up. After that, we're mounting our gun right there. We do have some large pieces to go on, and then adding in more pieces for the gun, and then our gun sight right in here. Then adding in our propellers, getting our propellers done, and then we have our canopy hatch right there. Then we have some pitot tubes and other little details to add in right there, and then we have the finished model at the bottom. After that's done, we have our decal placements throughout there. Looks like we have both top and bottom profiles. Then we have the side profiles. We do have the that special symbol that we can't put on YouTube, but it is there. It's just not showing up in the picture. So just moving on, we have all the other decals. We only have, looks like we only have one decal option for this aircraft, but this decal option does look very nice on that. And then at the very end we have our sprue callouts on that. A lot of sprues going into this kit. Alright, so moving on, looks like we have a die cut mask right here for our canopy, which is a nice bonus, so we don't have to worry about going out and buying a Edward mask or making our mask ourselves. So that is nice, and it's nice and laser cut already, so we don't have to cut it out ourselves. After that, we just have an advertisement for all the kits that they have right here. I don't have the HE219, the Uhu. I do want to get that kit. I do really like that kit. So I think next time I see one, I am going to get it if I have the ability to get it at that time. But again, a bunch of other kits going on all the way through here. Alright, so moving on to our decals. Decals do look very, very nice. Alright, some of the decals are broken up just for fuselage, the way they are on the fuselage, and also we do have those special symbols broken up to deal with certain countries and their laws about having that symbol. So again, just gonna have to, they look fairly easy to take care of, so not too worried about that. On the box it did say the decals were printed. Alright, yep, the decals are printed by Cartograph, so we do know that they are going to go down very well. The decals for the instrument panel, they actually do almost look 3D-ish on the decal, so that is very, very nice. I hadn't seen that in a regular decal sheet before, so that is a very nice detail to that. All the other decals look very, very nice and thin, a kind of a semi-gloss tech or coating to them, so they should go down very, very well. Alright, moving on to our next first sprue, and we have our wing plates right here. Very nice panel lines, nice and crisply molded. It's nice, you can tell by the sound of the plastic. It's nice and not hard plastic, not soft plastic. It's just that perfect texture of the plastic. So everything else on here does look very nice. We do have some nice rivet detail on here in various places. It's not just littered all over the place, but the detail on here does look very nice. Now on the underside, we have our connecting points right here. Not much detail to go on the inside because you're really not going to see any of it anyways. Okay, up next we have our wing spars and our fuel tanks. The wing spars, they do look nice and strong, really going to help support the weight of that. And then we have our fuel tanks. Again, very nice detail on the fuel tanks, as you can see right there. And then again with the wing spars, I'm not sure about this piece. Okay, yeah, that piece was supposed to be there like so. Somehow broke off and then got twisted up, but it straightens up very nice. So, but everything else does look very nice. You're not going to see anything on the underside of this, so I'm not really worried about anything. Do have a couple of connection points to cut off in the middle of the spars, but those shouldn't be too difficult to clean up because they are in fairly large areas. Alright, so going on to our engine sprues. Alright, and we get two of these, and the engine detail on here does look very nice. The cooling fans are nice and in scale right there, and then all the other bolt detail and your exhaust also very, very nice detail on that. And then you have your auxiliary or accessory piece right there. So we get two of these sprues. Again, some very nice detail on that. These are going to weather up and paint up very nicely on that. Definitely going to want to have one of these showing when you build it. Alright, so this looks like it's some of our flap and our aileron detail right here. Not much detail to it. A couple panel lines going through there, but not much to it. And yep, there's the other side. Not much to this as well, but again, it's there. It's a nice little plastic. There's a nice little, almost, it's a very light grainy texture to it, which I like because it helps paint stick. But again, very nice. And even on here, you kind of do have a fabric detail texture to that as well. Alright, so moving on, we have, looks like our cockpit sidewall detail right here. Some very nice wiring detail on the inside right there. And then the rest is our nose cone detail right there. So all in all, the panel lines and even some nice rivet detail going along the side here. I think this is our gun sight, maybe. We'll have to see. But again, nice detail all the way around. On the other side, ejection pin marks, but you're not going to see any of that. Okay, again, on this sprue we have our engine nozzles right here. Again, very nice panel line and rivet detail on there. Should take a wash very well. And then we have some other detail parts in here. These are for your ailerons. Right here, your control braces for your ailerons. Then a couple other pieces, but everything else looks fine. Moving along on the inside of the engine nozzles, we do have a couple ejector pin marks, but you won't be able to see those right there. And we do have some cable detail in there as well. So again, some nice detail. I think these are our landing gear doors, possibly. We do have a couple ejector pin marks right there, but they are very, very shallow. So those will be very easy to take care of. And the same thing with these right here. We do have a couple ejector pin marks on those as well. But again, very shallow, will be pretty easy to take care of. Alright, so this is the pod for our cannon right here. Again, nice panel line detail, not any rivet detail to it. But again, we do have a little bit of rivet detail along this piece right here. But again, everything else looks very nice. Alright, and then moving on, we have our engine cowls. The exterior detail of the engine cowls does look very nice. With the panel lines and even a couple hinges here and there. The radiator detail on this side does look very nice as well. We flip it over to the other side. We do have a few ejector pin marks on the inside of here, but again, pretty shallow. Should just come off with a couple quick swipes with a sanding stick. You shouldn't have any issues with that. Then we have a couple of antennas right here. There's no detail to the other side of the radiators because you're not going to be able to see it. And they do have a couple ejector pins, but like I just said, you're not going to be able to see it. Also, another nice touch to this that I just noticed is they do have the line right in here on the interior. So if you do want to cut these apart so you can have them like in a diorama or something like that, you do have a nice reference line to cut all your cowlings right in there. Alright, so up next we have, looks like our gun right here, or a cannon. It's not a gun, it's a cannon. Very nice pre-drilled holes right through there on this, so very nice detail on that. Does look like it's going to be large enough so when you're trying to take care of that connection seam that goes down the middle, it shouldn't be much of an issue on that. And then our autoloader details right in here, and then the cannon shells going through there, those look very nice as well and will paint up very nice. So definitely going to want to have this on show as well. Alright, so up next we have some more details like our bulkheads right in here. On this side they do look very nice. We do have our radio detail right here, and again, very nice detail on that piece as well. Hopefully the camera will focus. There we go. And as you can see, just all the tiny little detail parts, all these little handles that are going to go into your cockpit as well. Fuel tank, again, very nice strap detail, and also the fuel cap detail on there is also very nice. So we'll flip it over to the other side. Alright, so on these bulkheads, I'm not sure on how much of it you're going to be able to see, but they do have some ejector pin marks, but again, they are very shallow, so they did do a nice job with the placement of their ejector pins and also making sure that they weren't too deep, so they will be easily taken care of if you do decide to go that route. And the only way that you shouldn't actually need to go this route is if you're actually opening up a lot of different panels on that. Alright, so moving on to our clear parts. Clear parts do look absolutely crystal clear. No issues with any of those. I do like how they have this front window extended out, so that way if you do have any sanding to do or anything like that, it's not anywhere close to the window getting that attached. Then our instrument panel again looks very nice. We're going to have that decal that goes in there, and that's really going to show up really nice. Alright, Alright, so up next we have a sprue of bombs going on here, and again, nice detail on these with your fins and everything. Some nice raised rivet detail on those. I'm not sure if you're actually going to use the bombs on this kit in particular, because this is the Canon version. They do have another version where I think you would use these bombs, so you might want to save this sprue. You can use it for any other German aircraft that you decide to use. Alright, then up next we have our firewalls right here for our engines and our engine mounting brackets right there. Very nice detail on those, and then our engine cones, again, the same thing. Our propellers seem really small, especially for a 1/32nd scale aircraft. They do seem very small. But moving right along, our exhaust pipes, they are in two pieces, so we are going to have that seam line to take care of on the outside and the inside. But hopefully that won't be too much of an issue on that. But everything else on here does look very nice. And up next we have our wheels and our main landing gear struts. Right here we do have some brake lines to be attached as well, so some very nice detail on that, and some nice detail on the actual main landing gear struts as well. The rubber boots that go over the struts right there, very nice. And then the wheel detail, the hubs do look okay. There's no detail around the edge of the, or tread detail, but I'm not sure if they even had tread on these wheels in the first place. Alright, so on the main landing gear strut we do have a very faint ejector pin mark right in here, but again, that's going to be real easy to take care of, just a couple quick swipes with your a sanding stick. And then we also have a mold line right down the middle here. Up here won't be too big of an issue. Down here, you're definitely going to need to be careful when dealing with that, so you don't lose any of that detail in there. But other than that, those parts do look very nice. Alright, so moving on, we have more detail parts. This is your flight deck right in here. Then we have some other detail parts through here. We do have two more instrument panels to go off of. I think this is the one that your decals will be going over. Then you have the other options with the clear instrument panels as well. But some very nice detail on all the little parts, like as you can see on this radio piece right here, sidewall piece. Some nice switch detail on that. Then all your rudder pedals, again, very nice detail moving all the way around on this. And even some very small parts like your control levers in there as well. Those are just itching for the carpet monster to be eaten by. Alright, up next we have a couple of more detail pieces for the fuselage going through here. I think this is your vertical stabilizer and your elevators right in here. Then we have our tailpiece, and then a couple other pieces like the hatches going on there. And then just, again, nice panel line and rivet detail. Just very subtle on the detail, so just enough so you can see it. But then we flip around to the other side. We do have some very nice detail on these hatches, so if you leave them open you will be able to see some detail on there, and there are no ejector pin marks on those pieces, but everything else does look very nice. Alright, and this is our final sprue, and this is our main fuselage half. And the detail on here, again, panel lines, not much rivet detail on here, but you can see all the little detail that is in there, especially in this area right through here. Don't know how much of it you're going to be able to see, but again, very nice detail on all of that right there. We flip it over to the other side where the cockpit area is. We do have a couple ejector pin marks right in here on both of these in between the framing, so those might be a little bit difficult to get to depending on what size sanding stick you have, and also a few other ejector pin marks throughout here, but I'm not sure on how much of those you are going to be able to see with everything. So again, and then the same thing on this side as well with the ejector pin marks, if you can see those. I mean, it says something that the ejector pin marks are so shallow that the camera is having a hard time picking them up. So you can see a couple of them right there. But again, very, very nice detail all the way through on the horizontal stabilizers, and I think these are our elevators right in here. So again, just moving right along, very nice. Alright, so that will do it for the Zoukei Mura 132nd Henschel Hs 129B TAC 3. I can say the detail on this kit is standard Zoukei Mura, very nice, and the detail on the instructions, again, very, very nice. I'm loving how they laid it out, and they have everything that in certain points they have the actual color photos of how it's supposed to look when it is done. And then the box art, again, very nice. It has even the oil streaking going down the engine nozzles as well. But going back to the kit, all the other detail on here does look very nice. Some of the ejector pin marks, I'm not sure on how seeable they will be, or how visible, sorry, let me use correct words, how visible they will be, especially in the back end. You'll have to do a test fit and see. That's how I'm going to determine if I'm going to use the hatches in the open or closed position. But for the engines, I do know that when I do this kit, I'm going to have one with the engine cowl on, and then the other one with the engine cowl off, and then I'll do something with the ejector pin marks that are on the inside of the cowls. The cannon detail, especially for the tip of the cannon, very, very nice with the pre-drilled out holes right there. And then the cannon shells, again, very nice. Paint those up with some AK Extreme Metals. Those are going to look absolutely amazing when they're all done. But again, I'm excited to build this kit. We'll have to see when I get to it. I'm excited to build all of the kits I have. So we'll just have to see when I get to this one. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this inbox review. I hope if you were on the fence about buying this kit, I hope it helped you make your decision whether or not to get this kit. And then other than that, don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you haven't yet, and hit the bell button for notifications of my future videos, like future inbox reviews or future build videos. But until next time, have a great day, stay frosty, and happy modeling.